Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Lauren. I am a homeschooling mom to 3 girls, and today I'm sharing an update, a life update that is 6 years in the making. I'm gonna get started right into it. We're gonna get started. So there's some good stuff and there's some stuff that I'm struggling with, and I just kind of want to be real and raw and authentic and just kind of share where my heart's at, where my heart has been the last year and a half, pretty much since starting YouTube, and kind of where I'm going to go from here. So in order to kind of share where I'm at now, I feel like I need to pull us back a little bit. I have been a working mom since my oldest daughter was 8 weeks old. I've always worked in some capacity. I'm a registered dietitian, and I have always worked mostly like with seniors, and most of the time part-time. There was 1 year that I did work full-time. So besides maternity leave, I've always worked outside of the house. So I have 3 kids, and we have homeschooled. This is our 5th year of homeschooling. So we have done homeschooling and working and all of that together the last few years. And then last spring, I started a YouTube channel, which I love, and I felt like the Lord led me to do that. I really felt like it was placed on my heart to start that, but it was like adding another part-time job. Not to say it's not, it's a bad thing or anything. I really love it. I love doing YouTube. It is fun. It is like another creative outlet. I love sharing homeschool updates and curriculum reviews and just getting to know all you guys. It's been such a great, fun adventure. So, but it is like an extra job. It is like adding another part-time job. And like I said, I really did pray about this for a long time before starting, but I just felt like that was just something I felt led to do. And I said, I won't, I don't have to do this forever, but just to kind of see how it goes, maybe try it for a year or two and see how it goes. So I started that though, my YouTube channel, honestly, at like one of the most difficult times in my life. There was just a lot going on, a lot, big life trials happening. And so life trials really deplete you emotionally and mentally. And I started that when I was at a really low time in my life, honestly. It was starting from a deficit. I was starting all of that, taking on this big, like I said, it's like another job from a really like emotional and mental deficit that I didn't even realize how much until I was out. Even when situations have resolved and improved and those tough seasons have moved on, that doesn't mean that you just are, life might be back to normal, but that doesn't mean that you are emotionally and mentally or even physically right there with it. That takes healing as well. And so that is something that I have discovered about myself the last year and a half. So honestly, between working, being a wife, being a mom, homeschooling, doing YouTube, laundry, you all know what it is. The whole list of being a mom. I don't even have to go through it. I just feel like I'm constantly on the go. I'm just always behind. Something always needs me, and whatever I feel like I'm giving my attention to, I feel guilty because the thing that I'm not giving my attention to needs my attention as well. If I'm working, I'm like in the back of my mind, like, oh, I need to film a video or edit that video. If I'm doing YouTube, then it's like, oh my gosh, I needed to get hours in for my work, and, just trying to balance like having fun with my kids and making time for my husband and all of that. And when I would make time for one of those, something or multiple somethings would suffer. I feel like my cup is overflowing. I have way too many things on my plate. And I know that a lot of moms, I'm sure, feel that way. I know that there's a lot of moms who are in the same situation, in the same boat. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're working or doing YouTube. It could be that you have kids in a bunch of activities or, whatever the case may be. I know that probably most moms feel this way. And I've always been busy. I'm the type that likes to keep busy, but this point was like, okay, it's too much and something has to give. And part of what gave was a lot of my mental health. That was what gave. my mental health really suffered and really took a toll, honestly. It took a toll on me, which in turn took a toll on everything else. You know, we have a trickle down effect. There's a reason they say, you know, that you have to take care of your mind and body and spirit as a mom, because if you're down, then that is going to affect, it's going to have a ripple effect. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. On paper, I had time for everything. On paper, it should have all worked out. But in reality, just because something can work doesn't mean you should do it, and it doesn't mean that it is the healthiest thing for you to do. I have been going nonstop since college. I looked back and I'm like, when was I not really busy and like going 100 miles an hour? And it's been probably since high school, because once college started, I mean, I worked like 30 hours a week in college and graduated in 3 years, and I just was ready to go. I did an internship, working 2 jobs. And so I just have always, my husband, when he met me, he was like, I've never met someone so on the go as you. And I'm not saying that like this is some great accomplishment or look at me. That's just how I'm built, how I'm wired. I don't look at it like that's a benefit or like I'm bragging on myself or anything. That's what it was. And that is how I'm wired, and I'm trying to slow down, but more to that in just a minute. So something has to give. Something has to give. I just can't keep doing this. I'm treading water. I am just surviving right now. I'm just in survival mode. And so now that I've depressed you with my life right now, let's keep going. So what should I do? The easy logical thing, everybody I'm sure would say, well, quit YouTube. You don't have to do YouTube. You don't need to do that. But I really love doing it, and it's an outlet for me. I really, really enjoy it. It is something I truly enjoy. I feel like if I was forced to stop, I would be really sad, and just kind of, it would take away one of my happy, you know, something that brings me joy and something that I really love doing. And so, so there's that. I could stop homeschooling, which, you know, I don't want to do that. Should I quit working? That's not an option, because we need me to work. I've always had to work in some capacity. Again, mostly, thankfully, it's only been part-time, but it just has never, through a series of one thing after another, that just hasn't happened yet for me to be able to quit my job. I have to work. So should I get another job? Should I start my own private practice where I can work online and I can make my own rate, make my own hours, be my own boss? I have complete autonomy. So that was an option, but that is huge. That is something that's really huge, and more on that in just a second too. So I'm trying to weigh my options. What can we do? Something's got to give. In the meantime, my husband was feeling really dissatisfied with his job as well. He is a very, very faithful, loyal, very, very, very loyal, hardworking worker, dedicated 100%. But just certain situations in his job, he was just kind of very, very dissatisfied with, and just lack of stability. And, you know, there sometimes wouldn't be work for him, and they would just be like, sorry, 25 of your percent of your paycheck is like not going to come this week. I hope you didn't want to eat, type of thing. So among other things, it doesn't matter. So he would kind of look here and there for a job. One day this summer, this company reached out to him on like a Friday. He replied back. They called him right away on Monday morning, and he wasn't even looking really or applying. They reached out to him. They called him back, set up an interview. So he gets the interview. Now he's interviewing, and there's only one position available, and there was, I think, 9 other interviewees, applicants, and they told him up front in the interview, hey, you are our top contender, you and someone else, but you have the most experience. And they didn't give it to him right up front, but they kind of gave him confidence. And then they did a second interview, and he was really nervous. I think it was like a 2-week process, and he was just on edge the whole time. And that whole time I prayed, God, please give him this job. This job was closer, better hours, a potential for better pay, like just so much better. And I prayed, God, please not only give him this job, let it be at this level. And there was several different levels. He could have been hired entry level or second or third, or so I prayed, make him level 3, please, Lord. Pray specific. I've heard all my life, pray specific, pray specific. So I said, I'm praying for this, God, not just the job, above and beyond. And sure enough, he got the call, like I said, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks altogether. And he calls me at work. He's like, Lauren, I got the job and it's level 3. And I was just like, totally in shock. I just felt like, thank you so much, God. I started tearing up because I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I prayed for this. I prayed, this is me. Thank you. No, I'm just joking. But seriously, like it was really, really cool to see such a specific answer to prayer. And it was enough of like a promotion that really was going to kind of change our situation and make things a little bit easier for us financially. So we got him figured out. We got his position down. He's good to go. Happy with his job. Has been there several months and he's loving it. But in the meantime, I was still in that same situation of like, I don't know what to do, praying for guidance, praying for God, please lead me one way or another. Please show us what you want me to do. And so in the meantime, I've decided that I'm going to start my own private practice, to be a private practice dietitian. My desire, honestly, my true heart's desire is to be home full time with my babies and homeschool them and just, completely be with them, a full-time mom. And so this will allow me to have that. I can still work from home. I can, like I said, set my own hours and all of that. So starting my own business would allow me to have that. So initially my plan was that I was going to work on it this summer, over the summer, since we weren't really doing school, and then kind of have it set up so that I could hopefully start taking clients by August, and then maybe August, September, kind of overlap my job with my private practice, and just to make sure I actually had some clients before I just completely quit my job. And then from there would be able to quit and then transition. But summer happened. It came, it went. They go so stinking fast. Like every summer I have all these grand plans, and then before I know it, summer's over. Anyways, so it is already like July, and I am just like, oh, I'm not even close. Starting your own company, even if you're not at a physical location, like mine was just, will be virtual. I knew I wouldn't be able to do a location, and everybody does Zoom now and things like that. So that wasn't a problem, but still starting your own business is so much work. There's so much involved with it. And every time I would like look up more information, I realized, oh my goodness, there's more to do that I didn't even realize. Like I can't even tell you how much work is involved with doing all this if you're doing it all right. So honestly, I was not so super motivated over this summer to do to start this business. I just was overwhelmed. Again, I'm trying to enjoy summer with my kids. I am still doing YouTube. I'm still working, and then trying to get the school year started and then start my own private practice on top of, again, all the other mom, wifely duties that, you have to do every single day. And so I just was like not super motivated to do this. And I kept saying like, why don't I feel excited to do this? And what the heck? Like, what is going on? Let me just grit and get through it, because I know I can do that. That's the type of person I am, is like, if I know that there's an end game, I can push myself really hard if need be. And like, I just kept coming after roadblock mentally. Like I just like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this. So we're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to go back 2 years ago. 2 years ago, September of 2020, I found out that I was pregnant with number 4. And it's something that we were very excited about. We wanted to have another baby, and we felt like that was the perfect time. So got pregnant. As you can probably guess, I only have 3 children, and a little bit later I ended up having a miscarriage. And yeah, that was very hard, very hard, very difficult to go through. And since then, I have not been able to get pregnant again since then, which is another just insurmountable hurdle, it feels like. And if that sounds like I'm exaggerating, then you might not have ever gone through this before. I never ever had trouble getting pregnant. I had all my kids in my 20s. I never had trouble getting pregnant. I got pregnant right away, all the time, like right away, like boom, there we go, pregnant, easy. Even this time back in 2020, we said, okay, let's have number 4, and right away I was pregnant again. So although I grieved the miscarriage, I was like, well, it'll happen again. Like, let's give it a few months and, you know, it'll happen, because that has never, ever been anything that I have even remotely come close to struggling with. And the fact that it didn't has been very, very, very hard, very, very difficult. And I saw it. I saw other people go through that, but I'd never been in that situation. So naturally I had empathy, but I couldn't completely relate and know, you know, be in their shoes and know exactly how they're feeling. And honestly, if I were looking at myself, having not gone through the process, I would kind of be judgmental, like, wait a second, you have 3 kids and they're healthy and you should just be happy with that. That's honestly I hate to say that, but that's how I probably would have looked at me, having not gone through this before. And I even had struggled just giving myself grace to grief. I was hard on myself at the beginning, like, Lauren, why are you getting so upset about this? You already have 3 kids. Like, other women don't have any kids and they're not able to have kids. And, you know, you already have 3, and, you know, 4, that's a lot. And it was hard to even talk myself into wanting to be pregnant with number 4, because so many people look at me and they're like, you have 3 kids. Like, it's like I have, you know, 29 children or something. Like, it's so large. And so just having 4 kids, you know how it goes. People are like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So even to talk myself into, like, my heart and my head have always been at odds with each other. My heart has always wanted it, but my head has tried to talk myself out of it. So finally, like, letting go and embracing that, and then to have it not happen month after month after month, it's just so gut-wrenching. And if you have been through that and you're going through that, I'm so sorry, dear sister. I'm so sorry that you're going through that and that you have to experience that pain. It is awful. Whether you have 1 kid or 10 kids, that desire to have one and it doesn't happen is just, I don't have words for it. It's just hurts. It hurts so bad. So again, in case you're like, well, you know, you worked and do YouTube and you homeschool, and yes, you're dealing with, you know, infertility, but that's not, like, there's worse things that could happen. And you're right, like, there are worse things that could happen. I agree. I'm thankful that we're overall healthy, but keep in mind, remember back to what I was saying a little bit ago at the beginning, I have started this journey from a season of a really difficult time in our family's life that I'm not going to share right now. Maybe I'll share later on down the road, not right now, but it was so difficult to deal with. It was really, really hard. And again, I wasn't healed from that. And so I was trying to live this full steam ahead, full speed ahead life that I just was not in the right mind frame for. It's really hard to say this, especially in front of people who I, like, don't even know, but I just feel like I just need to be real and authentic, because I know that there's a lot of people who are struggling and need to hear this, because I know that when I hear what they're going through, who seem like they have this life that's great, but when I hear, like, you know what, we're struggling with this, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, so everybody really does have things that they're struggling with. So yeah, I don't have, like, depression with like medication or anything like that. I'm not at that point, but I just have I had in the past year, like, just lost motivation and lost kind of joy in doing things, and things have become just tedious to me and have lost meaning. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from mentally. So we're going to jump back to this summer now that you've been knowing what I'm kind of been going through, of a really difficult family situation that was really trying, and infertility, and then just adding on life itself is stressful. Raising kids is stressful. It's great, but it's stressful. And so it's just all piled. And then that final blow of like, I got a negative pregnancy test, and I just was like at my wit's end. I was just done. I was like, I've got to call my mom or my sister. So I actually ended up calling them both and just sobbing. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do any of it. I don't want to homeschool my kids. I don't want to work. I don't want to do YouTube. I don't want to open a business. I don't want to do anything anymore. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. And if I keep going, like, this isn't going to be good. And so I just was at my like breaking point. I just was like, I cannot do this anymore. My first thought should have been praying and going to God. And I know that every month where the answer is no, nope, not again, not this month, nope, where the answer is no every time, I listen to worship music and I praise God and I just say, you know what? We're not, the devil's not, you're not getting in, devil. Like, that's not happening. And I just couldn't even do that. I was like, I can't pray. I don't want to pray. I'm angry. I am so angry. So I called my mom and I called my sister and I talked to them for so long, and just, they talked me through it and listened to me and were compassionate and caring and understanding, and just tried to help me, like, what solutions can we go through? And I just talked to them for so long, and it was so helpful. And finally my mom was like, you know what? I said, because I just, ran the list over. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so I was like, and I have to open my business. And she was like, I know, Lauren, but just, if you can just tough it out for a little bit longer, then you'll have your business and you can quit your job and you can be ready to go. Just, you've done it before. You did it in college, you did it with YouTube, you figured out YouTube, and it was hard at first, but you did it. And I was like, I just had the realization. I was like, I don't want to start my own private practice. I don't want to open a business. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. And she was like, okay, well then maybe there's something to that. And I just admitting that out loud, and like, I knew that in myself. Like, I kept praying, God, show me what you want to do. And I just felt like I couldn't quit, but I couldn't quit I could quit my job, but I needed something to replace it with. I needed some other income to replace it with. And I just felt like neither were great options, but I was going to take the better of the two options. But neither of them were my heart's desire. That's not where my heart was. That's not what I wanted. So right away, just saying it out loud, like just saying, like, maybe I don't have to do this. Maybe I can quit my job, and maybe I don't have to do a private practice. And even the thought of it alone felt like 100 pounds lifted off of me. I just felt so like a burden, huge burden was lifted.
Quick editing note, I do want to also make it very clear that I don't want to make it seem like I was willing to let go of everything except YouTube, and that was the one thing I was clenching and holding on to. Like, that's not it either. I love doing this, but I also said, God, if you don't want me to do that anymore, please remove that from my life if that time is done too. I'm trying to be very open-handed with it and just not trying to be in control of that. And so at this point, I don't feel like I need to do that yet, but I did want to, put that out there, that is something that I said, I'll be willing to give that up as well if need be.
I looked at our bills again, and, I do now make a little bit of money off of YouTube. It's like a very, very, very small fraction, not even close to like my part-time income. So we just kind of put that away for savings, honestly. And that wasn't part of our budget, but I was like, well, maybe if I take my little fraction of a little bit of income and with him working, and he's able to get a little bit of overtime, which we don't like to rely on, and then, we'll somehow figure something out. And at a certain point, like my mental health, my family needs me. My children need me. My husband needs me. They need me to be healthy, and my mental health is more important than, all of our bills might not be covered. We're going to have to be living on faith, living on a prayer, as who is it, Bon Jovi, who sings that? Yeah, I'm going to be feeling that one now. I was just like, we'll figure something out. So I talked to my husband about it that weekend and where I was coming from. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. What if I stayed home? Because we had talked about that for years. That had been our goal for years, for me to finally be able to stay home. But again, that just hasn't been able to happen. And, I kind of explained I didn't have an Excel spreadsheet, but I explained my whole we could do this and this and this and figure something out. And he was just like, yep, that sounds great. We'll figure it out. For me, it was like, we're finally at a point where we could finally put a bunch of money into savings or go on that vacation because of your job and my job now. And we're finally at that point where it's like, we're more than just scraping things together. And then all of a sudden I just want to not do it anymore. And we're back to kind of square one where we've been of scraping by. But at the like I said, at the end of the day, I just need to do that. So for me to say that is huge, because I'm extremely, I need security. That is something that is really, really deep inside of me. Something that really motivates me is that need for, to just have that security. Not that I need to make a yacht payment or to buy, a beach house or anything like that. I'm just let me get my kids some clothes and, be able to buy a throw pillow here and there, that type of thing. I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Just want your bills covered and that's it, not to live some luxurious, fancy life. And that seems harmless. And that's what I kept telling myself. I'm not trying to live some fancy life. I just want to have this security. But even though that seems harmless and that seems yeah, sure, that makes sense, I was trying to do it out of my own abilities, and I was trying to be in control, and I was trying to pull all the strings in my life, be the little puppeteer. And that is where it crosses the line into that's not okay. When I was pregnant with Lola and she just turned 6 last month, I remember sharing my desire to stay home. And I just remember thinking, well, soon. And my husband had a job with another company, and he was on the track to, to be able to make that happen. And I said, okay, it's going to happen December of whatever year, 2019. And we're going to do this, this, and this. And every single time I, in my own might, in my own will, was like, okay, we'll be able to quit. I'll be able to quit this time or this year or this in 6 months or whatever. And every time it was pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And the door was closed and the answer was no. And I just got so defeated every time. It was like, when is this ever going to happen? I would see other moms or women, friends on Facebook, they'd have their baby and okay, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom now. And it was just how is it that easy? How did you have that much of a discretionary income that you could just I'm going to quit being I don't understand that. And it made me feel terrible. What are we doing wrong? I would go over our budget all the time, and we paid off our debt, and we have car payments. We don't have car payments. Both of our cars are paid off. I'm like, we don't do anything. What are we doing wrong? And I kept, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were not doing anything wrong. Sometimes that just has to happen. And if you are working and your desire is to be home and you feel that, I totally feel where you are. I totally feel that. And finally, last year, at some point, I just said, you know what, God, I'm tired of doing this on my own time. And I'm tired of telling my husband when I'll be finished. Let me just, my desires. I know you gave me this for a reason, and I know you want this to work out. So when it's your will and when you want it to happen, please let that happen. And I would pray that all the time. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't get frustrated at times, of course, because I'm human and, all of that. But I really just kept going back to, it's in your hands, Lord. It's in your hands. I'm no longer saying when I'm doing this or when I'm doing that. It is when you have it for me. So I feel like God has brought me to this point to say, okay, Lauren, I need you to step out on faith, and I need you to be in obedience, and you are going to quit your job, and we'll figure it out. I got you. And I feel like he's using this situation to increase my faith and to really help break down some of those barriers that I have rooted deep inside of me that are not good, that I need to kind of let go of. And so that is something that has opened my eyes just the past few months since this has happened. I told them mid-October or mid-September I was going to be quitting my job. And I gave them a 1 month notice. And in that 1 month, oh my goodness, has it been like trials, not trials, but like, yeah, I guess like tests of our faith. This broke down, that broke down. This needs to be replaced, that needs to be fixed. And each time internally, I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Why am I quitting my job? Oh my goodness, what are we gonna do? And like every time I felt the Lord, and I know it's of the Lord because the difference between what I felt pushing myself to do that private practice, I never ever felt peace. I just felt like I was kind of fighting against the current all the time. But with this, when I feel like when we're met with struggles, I just have that peace inside, like it's going to be okay. You're doing the right thing. It's going to be okay. And every time I tell my fears to my husband, I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? Can we do it? He is 100% steadfast, 100% confident. His faith is much stronger than mine is. He just assures me. And if it wasn't for him, I feel like I would still be doubting myself. But he has been so, thankfully, so supportive and just, determined, no, we're going to make this work. God's got it. He's going to provide. We will be okay. And that really, between that and just praying, and I talked to my parents and my family and friends, and everybody I talked to was on board and was like, no, that's a good idea. So yes, this dream was 6 years in the making. I am excited to be home full time with my girls. But on the other hand, I am still struggling with feeling like, oh my gosh, am I still as important? And I know I am. I know the truth, but sometimes your brain likes to plant those little thoughts inside, and you have to just combat it with truth. So I also did look back on times of where have we lived in faith before, and where has faith, where have we gone out on a limb where it sounded crazy, but it still somehow all worked out. And moving from the West Coast to the East Coast, we lived in the West Coast in California. That's where he's from. That's where we met and got married and had our oldest two. And then we moved to the East Coast, and I had quit my job. I hadn't even had a job lined up. I didn't even have an application. I literally had nothing, no job prospects whatsoever. He had just finished graduating lineman school to become a lineman. So he had literally no job experience for that. And we moved out here completely. We broke our lease. So we lost our security deposit, moved all the way out across the country. And I had no job offers or prospects or even anything. And he had 2 interviews, not even an offer, an interview, 2 interviews. And that's what we moved our family across the country for. Looking back, I'm like, what were we thinking? Oh my goodness, why would we do that? My dad had a property that was for sale that wasn't selling, and he was like, move in, I'm going to take it off the market in a little bit and you can move in there. I'm going to take it off in a month or so. It hasn't sold. It's been on the market for 7 months. It's not going to sell. So sure enough, we get there and it sold. So anyway, but yeah, it all worked out. My husband got the job, the first interview, and then I ended up getting a job. And again, it all worked out. But it was just funny, oh wow, we were I don't know what we were thinking or what we were drinking, or, if you're in this situation where, and it may not be working, it might be that you work and your desires to be home, or maybe you're like, I am home and I would love to have some sort of outlet, but that just can't happen. Or whatever it may be. It could be anything. You're going through something that is really heavy on you, and it just seems, you look around, it's like, well, everybody else has that, or so it seems, right? and that you're just like, God, why are you giving me this desire but not having it fulfilled? And let me just tell you, from someone who it took 6 years from, not 6 weeks or 6 months, 6 years of praying, it can happen. I don't know if your desire will be fulfilled. I hope it does, and I pray it does. And I have other desires that I would love to be fulfilled, and I don't know if they ever will be. It may be something that just, this desire and this prayer was fulfilled, thankfully, but there's others that I don't know if will ever happen. We may not get our answer. We may get our answer for certain things, but not get our answers for other things, but in this lifetime. But God is still good. He is still good, and He will take care of you. He'll take care of us. And so thank you so much for watching. I just want to say, you guys are so great. Like, truly, truly, you show up, you watch my videos, you make, you leave such kind comments. I love interacting with you, and I have loved getting to know you. Some of you regularly comment, and I recognize your names, and I know you, or I feel like I know you. And I just truly thank you so much. I am just a person, like another mom, just like you. And, but it just really means a lot. It really means a lot to me. It is going to help my family now a little bit, nothing crazy, but it still will help. Every little bit helps. And I just thank you so much for being here. You're really the best audience. And if anybody knows and understands this desire that I've had and would be happy for me and would love to cheer me on about that, it is you. And I thank you so much, fellow moms, fellow homeschool moms, for being here and just seriously supporting me throughout all of this. You're truly the best. I really, really do appreciate it. So that is my life update. I will keep you, as the months go on, let you know how it's going and how dynamics have changed and how our homeschool is a little different now and schedules are different and all of that. And but I'm really excited. I am excited for what God lies ahead. I'm excited for how God will provide and how we will see the evidence and the step of, taking that faith step. Again, thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much. I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.